Alright, so let's talk about The Book of the Baku by R.L. Boyle. It is the debut novel by Boyle, and it's a fantasy fiction horror book, which I didn't quite pick up when I picked it up, so I was kind of surprised. I'm not usually the big horror reading guy, but I decided to give it a shot. So I'm gonna read it through and ask the question, should you read this? And should you read this? A quick note though is this review is going to contain spoilers for the entire book. So if you just want to know if you should read this book and my overall thoughts, please skip to the conclusion at the end. There should be timestamps. Right, let's start off by talking about the cover. So the cover is beautiful. I absolutely love it, except for one thing, one detail. This. I hate when they do this. Oh, it grinds my gears. It really grinds my gears. But I love it. I love the Baku here in the front. I can also say it's Baku, but the elephant here in the front, I love it. It's should have picked up on it being a horror, given it's so spooky, but it could also just be dark fantasy. But it is beautiful. I love the white and silver on the back. I love the 3D of the title. I like how the 3D and the font goes down on the author name, but the author name is smaller. I always appreciate a smaller author name than the book title. I know that if Boyle were a huge author, it would be vice versa, and I actually dislike that a lot. I love the red detailing we get to see in the background. It adds a little bit, and it's very thematic because there's a lot of themes with veins. So it's just, oh, it's perfect. I love it. Chef's kiss and all that. And of course, the red theme continues on the back. And this silvery continues here on the spine. However, not the 3D, but the same font. And in order to highlight the name of the book, they opted to make the author name in red. And I like that a lot. I think, given the situation, having silver without a break or without a band or anything, it would be too much. So I would say, yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's not too long a book. It's like 400 pages or something like that. 310 and relatively large font. So it took me a while to read due to time, but really you'll probably be done in at most a week for most people. So yeah, let's talk about the first part of this book, and let's get right into it. The first section here is gonna cover the prologue and all the way up to what is called day 9. So we'll be trying to find here. So instead of chapters, we're counting days and we're doing some time skips. We're going the prologue is ahead in time to give us an idea of where we're going, but mainly the story takes place in the present, and then some chapters are called before, which is before the story goes on, and I kind of like that. Oh, sorry, hit the camera. So something you don't see too often, and I kind of like that, is a crippled main character, and it is Sean's defining character trait thing, and that's both good and bad. I usually advocate for, if you're gonna have stuff like that, you need to use it, but don't make it your character. And it hasn't been made Sean's character, but it's a huge part of him, and I don't have a handicap, but I do get it. If you have a handicap, giant respect to you and all that, and I know it's a big part of your life, and just if you're black and all that, I mean, it's a huge part. I know that. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just there need to be more to the character. You are more than if you're missing an eye, if you're black, if you're Asian or whatever. You're more than that, and that's the book skirts it a little in the beginning for me, but it picks it up. It gets better. Sean becomes more of a character, and he has this. They actually say what it is he has, but it's to me, it's, from what I understand, like a kind of PTSD from a traumatic event in his past that prevents him from talking, and that's kind of like why he ended up living with his granddad, because his entire family is dead, and it's super sad, but I love it, and I think the granddad is super sweet in the beginning. I think it's such a good, he's such a good granddad. He tries everything, and you just want to make Sean happy, and just want to try and make everything better. But the granddad is an author. Again, books. I feel like I'm there's a if you watch any of my other reviews, most books I pick up without realizing it, a character, either a huge side character or the main character loves books. I don't know. The granddad is apparently an author, and he wrote the Baku, which is a collection of short stories. And he also wrote a bunch of children's stories, but the Baku is kind of the main thing here. And as Sean is reading through the book, what we learn is more, and like some of the stories he dreams about them, and that everything is coming down from a shed in the back of the room, and it's really it's really spooky. It's really unnerving to read. It's really hard to describe, but it's just the more he reads and has these nightmares of the stories as if it was him, and having the notes in his hands when you wake up, and it gets so hard. Like, it's really tough to read actually sometimes, and it works. Boyle hits it very, very well. It's just perfect. Now, I really like something that's not quite clear, at least not at this point yet. I don't know. At this point, it's not very clear is if the stories are true or not. I believe they aren't, or they might be, but it's really not that important. But it adds a mysticism that you don't know if the stories are something that happened or something his granddad came up with. Now, as I was reading this through here, and I stopped, to write down some notes and all that, I came up with a theory before the next section. And that is, the Baku is in the shed, and the book Sean is reading isn't meant to be read by anyone. But the granddad already knows it's too late since he picked the book up. And the Baku is the reason behind the grandma's death and the mom Leia's death. But we're going to talk about that in either next section or next section. Like, I actually don't remember, but we will see. So yeah, let's get to section 2. That goes up to day 18. Going with up to I'm gonna keep it in though. Going into section 2, counting from day 18, from 9 to 18. There we go. Going from day 9 to 18. First thing I want to talk about is how intense the park scene was. Holy crap. That was just Well, technically there are 2 park scenes, and both of them are intense in different ways, because the first one, I don't remember if it takes place in the first section or this section, but that's when they go visit this park and there's a bunch of statues and all that, and Sean's granddad is really excited and Sean is excited, everything is good. But as they get home, Sean's granddad gets more and more melancholic and more gone almost. While the second one is when he's trying to bury one of the Hoglings, and oh my god, like the beat up scene, all of that is just that hurts me so much. And yeah, that was a tough read. Definitely a tough read. So now I want to talk about the past, because I didn't talk about it in the last section here, but here I feel like we had some interesting scenes. Let's start off by talking about the Halloween, and just generally everything in the past is like something feels off when reading it at this point, because you heard how he's grown up. I think it's called Dunwood. Does it say it on the back? I don't think so. No, it doesn't. No. So I think it's called Dunwood or something like that. And everyone in Dunwood is like the lowest of lowest social class, and it's horrible, and there's gangs and everybody's poor and it's horrible. But still, Sean's life seems really good. He has a mother who loves him, takes care of him. They don't have a lot of money, but that's okay. So it's really like odd to me, because how do I describe it? Everything just feels a little like at edge with each other, and I do love the Halloween scene. I love how they have to sneak out of the city part, but yet one person in the entire area actually gave him candy, and I don't know, I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was well done, not saying that. So all in all, something's wrong with the past, and I hope we get a description for it at the end of the story. Probably do. I know we do, but at this point I was hoping we did. So let's talk about the Hoglings, because I mentioned them, one of them shortly that it died, and Sean taking care of them is just perfect in character, and it's just the entire thing with 1, 2, I think 3 of them die sadly, or something like that. It's perfectly it's almost like a countdown to the end, and it's just perfectly sad and all that, and it's also perfectly in character for Sean to wanting to take care of them. It's like the most natural thing for him is to wanting to take care of this little life. He wants to protect it and do his best, and as every time they die he's like, why should I be sad? I knew they might not survive, but he's just on the edge of breaking, and I don't know, it was, to me, it was a perfect little detail. That's kind of it about it. So let's get to the final part of the book, which will go from day 19 to, it's the epilogue, but I think it's day 23, and the epilogue's called After, of course. Let me just get, day 23. So let's get to that, and we'll see how the book ends. So you can really tell now the story is amping up, which, makes sense. We're approaching the end of the story. And something I like about when it amps up is how we can tell Sean is now actively trying to find a solution. He's speculating, he's doing research, he's trying to figure out what the Baku is, how to defeat it, and how to save his grandpa, and all that stuff. And that's amazing to read about. However, to me, it kinda sad that from day 19 on all the way up until the final part of day 23, Boyle kind of forgot about the Hoglins, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity to add just more attention here to the ending, is have them be more threatened or something. Now they're just, it takes 3 days and don't hear him taking care of them. I know he does, or else they would be dead, but still, it's a little sad. Now, the most tense part of it was, of course, getting down to the shit. I'm not going to go through the entire ending of the story, because that would be horrible, but I want to talk about getting down to the shed and all that, and that was really, really intense, all just to stop the writing of the Baku 2, like he tried earlier, and that of course did not solve the problem, at all, and it kinda, it goes towards the ending, making it even more perfect, because in the end, the ending is just overcoming your own fears and your own trauma, and I'm going to get into that in conclusion, but I just want to talk quickly. I think that's perfect, and I think talking about, because the granddad is writing the story and he's getting more and more insane from it, and his trauma is of course the death of his wife and the fact that his daughter left him, and Sean's trauma is of course with the mom also. So all in all, it's just it's perfect. I think the ending that it enters into and how the epilogue or the after chapter is handled is perfectly done, and exactly how I would have done it. Well, how I would wish for it to do, and I don't think I could do it like that. I'm not very good a writer. So definitely worth it. But let's get to the overall conclusion, trying to answer the question whether or not you should read this book. This book works with grief, anger, sorrow, all that stuff. And they are very heavy emotions to deal with, especially when it comes to losing someone. And it's a tough task to write a book describing how this works, especially working with trauma and making it realistic. And I feel like Boyle hit that perfectly well. You can definitely tell that the author Boyle knew exactly how it felt, or either through personal experience or through a lot of talking with people. And I think just overall the entire book, even though it's a horror book, has a undertone of positivity going on. it's like it tells a very deep, meaningful story about dealing with this trauma. And to be honest, this book is not for everybody. First and foremost, if you have any phobias like needles, clowns, spiders, yeah, probably want to go around this book. But also if you're just someone who's very easily touched, this book might actually hit you way harder than you probably would want it to. It could also be what you need. I'm not gonna tell you no, but so I don't actually know who this book would be for. I mean, horror fans would probably love it for the horror of it, but there's just more to it than just a horror story. So, would I recommend this book? Definitely, but also with the caveat that this is not an easy book to read. It's very heavy book reading, and I think Boyle hit it perfectly with her first book, and I can't wait to read more from her. I hope she comes up with some equally as good, either in the horror or just in the generic fantasy world. So yeah, I do think you should read this book.